Hey everybody, Dan Rubino here, Windows Central, and we're taking a closer look here at the Nokia McLaren smartphone. Now, if you haven't seen our full review, make sure you go and do that. That's a lot more fancy. This one I'm doing something different. I'm just going to basically turn on the device and we're going to do a single take walkthrough. I'm going to try to show you what this phone's all about to really give a full overview of what is included here. As you can see, this kind of weird generic 4G LTE screen. I've actually never seen this display before. And you can see some bootloader information going on. And there is the Windows logo. This is running Windows Phone 8.1 Update 1. And so it's a rather old version. Now, hopefully we won't have issues here. Oh, it actually booted up. The reason I'm surprised is sometimes when I hold the phone and I grip it, it actually sets the sensors off, and I've seen this phone go into a reset boot. Basically, it just keeps resetting over and over again until I let it go. So here it is, the phone's completely booted up. It says no service right now, but I imagine, oh, I don't even know how that kicked in. See, so here's sort of the issue. There goes AT&T. So now my SIM is in there and we do have full connectivity. This phone actually doesn't have LTE, at least for AT&T yet, so limited bands. So let me show you the phone itself. Now I have manipulated some of the stuff on here with the tiles, but there's only two that are actively basically the mixed view exploding tile kind of thing. And you can kind of see as I move my finger across the display how it actually reacts. It's very cool. It's a very awesome effect. I'm actually very impressed with this. And I would really like to sort of have seen this phone come out. The only two tiles here are the exploding views, are the phone and the Internet Explorer. In fact, you can see that happen there. So you'll see this phone, it may even reset while I'm doing this. It is very buggy. You would not want to use this phone as a daily phone, not yet. It's still prototype, it's still pretty buggy, but let's see, exploding tiles. So you can see they explode there. It's very sensitive in the sense that in order to get to those tiles, you have to move your finger down and keep it in that same distance from the display. If you go up too high, it's just going to go back. So if you let them explode and then pull your finger back, you can see it's very sensitive there. It'll just go back. So you have to move your finger gently down. And now you get these tiles. You can see I can do a new web page. I can do favorites. I can also open up things that are already basically opened. So looks like I'm not connected to the internet right now, but you kind of get the idea. So there would be more tiles than that if I had more websites. I believe there's up to 8 tiles, and developers were going to be able to define these. So someone like Facebook could basically put your friends there and photos and messages and whatever they wanted. A developer could basically go and do that. And same with the phone here, so you can go and you can see your call history, which was kind of a neat example of the potential of exploding live tiles. I have heard developers had been working on these apps, but you do have to question how this would have worked with something like Windows 10, where this model of interaction has no role on the desktop or tablets, at least not yet. It could have been done, but this would have been kind of a mobile-only thing, which kind of goes against the whole idea of what the Universal Windows platform is, but still, they could have worked on it. Now, you probably saw that app pop up with some graphs and stuff like that. Let's take a look at that. It's an app called Touch Tester 3D, and it's pretty awesome. So what it does here, it's a heat map, so it's not detecting anything, but as I bring my finger close here, you can see it's detecting my finger, and it gives the calibration points and everything. And it does do multiple fingers. In fact, it could do quite a few. So it definitely very crazy technology. Whenever I show people this, they're kind of blown away. Mind you, this was from 2 years ago, so Microsoft Research is still developing this stuff. It can also detect when you grip the phone. You can see it there I'm holding, so it's detecting my palms on the side of the device. Now, I'm not touching the display. It's literally on the side of the phone. It has sensors, so that is where it's picking that stuff up. If you want to go to a more fancy one, we can go into the settings here, and you can see there's a bunch of stuff, including recording, hide heat map, hide fingers, hide debug information. So I'll take that debugging stuff out there, makes it a little bit cleaner, kind of cooler looking. But what I really like is this one. We'll go into settings, and I like 3D visualization and animation. We'll make it smooth. We're going to hide the sensor measurement and show grip heat data. And check out this thing as it floats around, and watch as I bring my finger across. You can see it's like a gravity well, and you see in physics type videos. Really cool stuff though, and you can see I got multiple fingers on there, and it's all reading it real time. Same if I hold the phone, it's going to do the grip there as well, and you can see some of this information. Really neat. Let's go back into those settings. I'll just show you those quickly. Let's see if we can swipe. Now let's see if this actually crashes. There it goes. general, interrupt throttling, EMC, automatic calibration, which is kind of interesting. Fingers, show finger legend. So this is just all Microsoft internal testing stuff that they're using. You can see this in some of their videos that they're using as well. Send to network, show menu in the main value. So a lot of this, I don't know what it even means, but you kind of get the idea. It's really kind of, it's just fun visual stuff, but it does show how all the sensors work in real time. Like I said, Microsoft is still working on this stuff, so we'll have to see where this comes of it. You have diagnostics here. So once again, this is showing sort of real-time information. It's kind of neat with the arrows, if you ever want to see how that goes. So this is actually showing how everything is being detected. Oops. Let's see, pointer diagnostics. So it's kind of neat to see the heat map. You can see the intensity as I get closer, it turns red, goes green, blue. Pretty impressive. It's about a ½ inch that it detects over the display, which is, every time I show people this, once again, it's really bizarre technology. I don't think people are aware that this stuff actually kind of exists as it is, but it's definitely kind of neat. Let's see, data collector. So some of this stuff, obviously, I don't know. You have grip events. This is just more showing. So this is actually kind of neat. It actually predicts or shows what is actually being touched, and it's trying to detect if it's a hand or not. So pretty cool. Swipe demo is, actually I don't think that works. Scroll demo is just this. It doesn't really do anything. I think they were supposed to do a lot more with the 3D touch than what's actually available on this device. For instance, so you may be wondering if the camera works, and of course it actually does work. And the photos are pretty good, but this isn't the full maximized camera. So when I go into something like photo settings here, you're going to see flash and tap to take photo and a couple other things, but there's nothing to choose the resolution. You have aspect ratio, but see there's nothing there for resolution. And so if I take these photos and I look at them on a PC, they're going to be about 8 megapixels. So clearly this isn't an 8 megapixel camera, but I just don't think they did the software for this. In fact, I was told that what you're seeing here was not going to be the finalized camera. The finalized camera was going to have no UI. It was just going to be a straight live feed from the camera. But as your finger approached the camera to, say, interact with it, the menus would pop up, the UI would pop up, which is actually kind of a cool thing. Another feature they were working on was for zoom. Right now, to do zoom, you do this kind of pinch zoom thing. Everybody's familiar with it. They were going to have a thing where you basically slide your finger on the edge. It might have even worked this way, and it would have acted like a zoom. So that was stuff that was definitely planned, but never came to be, and you can see it's not implemented in this device. This device is one of the final prototypes, by the way. There were evidently various versions of this device floating around, but this is the one that Microsoft uses internally, and they still use it for testing, from what I'm told. But this is one of the finalized versions. It doesn't mean the software was finalized, but in terms of the actual design, that was pretty close. Unfortunately, Z Touch Events doesn't work, so I don't know why it doesn't work. Nothing else is really on this phone, frankly. So we can scroll over. There we go. So you can see these are the default apps. I do have a few things like hardware tests I installed, but there's really nothing else on here that is a diagnostics. You can see how the touch is not exactly perfect, which is kind of ironic. It's just a little bit sensitive. So it does make it difficult to use at times. I'm surprised it actually hasn't crashed yet. PTRA app is another one. This is just another sort of heat map kind of thing. I'm not really sure what this is, how this is different. Oh, it looks like it registers touches, which is kind of neat. So really cool stuff. I would have loved to have seen this actually come to market, but from what I understand, I've been told this interaction model was difficult for people to sort of wrap their head around. And so that's one reason, at least, why it was canceled. Oh, let me finally show you the big thing. This is under settings, so scrolling down, and by the way, for those who remember 8.1, this was not one of the highlights of this operating system, the messy settings. Anyways, there is this thing here, hover and gesture, so obviously this is unique to this device. This is actually really cool stuff. So this is a real world implication of what this technology was meant to do. These were all options a user was going to be able to enable and disable according to their likes. So let's go through them. Start screen. Use hover on my start screen. So I just demonstrated that. Basically, that's the exploding live tiles and the idea that the screen reacts to your touch without, or pre-touch as they call it. Screen. Keep the screen on when I hold the phone. So this is really neat. You may be familiar with most displays have a timeout feature. Well, you can basically override the timeout feature. As you're gripping the phone like this, the display will never turn off despite an auto shut off of say 1 minute, because it's like I showed you before, it's detecting my hand presence here on the sides. So you can enable that, and I thought that was actually a really smart thing. Lock the screen orientation when I hold my phone. Okay, let me demonstrate that because that's actually really cool as well. We'll go into the photo here. So, okay, photo, I rotate the phone. Look at that, goes to landscape. As expected, nothing new there. Let's rotate it back. Let me grip the phone, and now let's rotate. Nothing happens. So there's an example of just how this touch technology could basically improve the interaction model of these, all smartphones. I thought this was really interesting. I know I've been in times laying in bed or I just tilt my hand like that and it rotates and it's really frustrating. This solves that problem and I thought that was kind of a really cool thing. Let's go to more settings. Silence incoming calls when I grip the phone or when I hover my hand over the screen. So yeah, basically as a phone call comes in and you pick up the phone, it'll silence it, or you can hover your hand over the display. Answer incoming calls when I raise the phone to my ear. We actually have that now in the Lumia 950, and that works on a few other Lumias too with a proximity sensor. Actually, I'm not sure if that is on 950, but there's one of these that is. Go to speaker mode during calls when I'm not holding my phone. We've seen these things before too. Mute the microphone during calls when I hover my hand over the bottom of the screen. So I demonstrate this in the main review, but basically as a phone call comes in or you're on a call, you can basically just put your hand over half the phone, just hover it over it like you're shushing it, and it will actually mute the call. It does work, and it's actually kind of interesting. You can also silence calendar reminders and alarms when I hold the phone or when I hover my hand over the screen. So another way to silence things. Overall, really neat things. Nothing revolutionary, right? None of this stuff is like completely groundbreaking or, oh my God, I need to have it. But they are small little improvements to what is basically basic features here on smartphones and things that are kind of annoying. But I think it would have made an interesting device. At the very least, had Microsoft and Nokia released this, it would have given something for people to talk about. Let's be honest, this is something that's really unique and really different, and we've never seen it before on the market. I still hope Microsoft is basically bringing this to the market someday. I have no idea if the so-called Surface Phone will feature any of this technology. I hope it does, but they've done a lot of internal testing, and like I said, beta testers were confused by it. Developers weren't that impressed by it either. And so we'll have to see what exactly happens with it. But that is the Nokia McLaren. I hope, I'm surprised it actually didn't crash during that whole demonstration. I'm actually pretty excited by that. But if you want more information, head to Windows Central. We have a full review of this device with a lot more cleaner shots and more examples of how it works. But there you go. Thanks for watching. Take care, everybody.